Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Tuesday, the 27th of June, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you guys here. Well, what's going on in our crazy world? The crazy world is the world that was ushered in when COVID came. And there's a new normal. There is no new normal. This is the crazy world. Well, there's the standard stuff that's going on right now. We got a war that's slowly progressing and becoming more dangerous by the day. Let's just put it that way, as far as escalation is concerned. When we've got a financial system that's just teetering on the brink of something huge happening, it's ready to go. It's like what the financial system reminds me of right now. Picture them lowering a piano by a rope, and the rope is frayed. And there's just like one string on the rope where the rope is frayed that's just holding the piano up, and it's like 5 stories up. That's the disaster that's ready to happen when that last frayed rope breaks and that piano comes down and hits the concrete. Smash! That's where we're at with the financial system right now. Consumers are tapped out. The banks are not lending. Liquidity's drying up in the system at an alarming rate. Yet we got the Fed wanting to tighten. What a joke. Anyway, what else is going on out there in the world right now? Let's see. Germany is going to station 4,000 troops in the NATO Baltic eastern flank in Lithuania, right next to. Let's see. It's right next to. It's right close to where Russia has got nuclear weapons stored. It says the slow march toward a potential future direct NATO war with Russia continues. As on Monday, Germany made a huge announcement which signals a continued escalation, even as Ukraine's counteroffensive, I guess, is not going much of anywhere much. But this whole thing, it's just a mess, absolute mess. Now, here's a story right here that has a potential to cause a lot of problems. There's a heat dome baking Texas right now, and they are using more electricity than they've ever used before. Record amount of electricity, 80,200 megawatts, as millions of people are cranking up their air conditioners to escape the triple-digit temperatures. And if you take a look right here, you can see this heat dome, this round H. That's a high-pressure dome, what they call a dome of high pressure. And what a high-pressure dome is like, it's like a giant magnifying glass. And what happens to ants underneath a magnifying glass? That's essentially what it is, and it can stay there. It can stay like that for days. It's just the air is just kind of going around and around and around and getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And there is an index, a body heat index, where if you get moist hot heat, your body can't cool itself. So your body runs at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it's 37 degrees Celsius. And how your body cools itself is by sweating. And what sweat does is it evaporates and it cools you down. But if the temperature is much higher and there's high humidity, your body cannot get rid of that heat by sweating any longer. And if the temperature is higher than 98.6, if it's like 104 degrees, your body can't get rid of the heat any longer. And, at about 105, 106 degrees, like if you had a fever of 106, you start to die. In fact, if elderly just can't take that, but even a young person starts to die. So if it's more than 106 degrees outside and you got a very high humidity and you can't get any air conditioning or anything to get out of that, your body has to try to work hard, and you can go into a severe heat stroke and just very quick. And even young people. It's weird. It's hard to predict how much the Earth now, because the Earth things have changed. These heat domes, just how hot they might get underneath them in time. They're starting to form these heat bubbles. What did I have in this story here? Oh, yeah. This one right here, this story. Mr. Beast. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mr. Beast. He's a very famous YouTuber. He's got millions and millions and millions of followers on YouTube. He was invited to ride in that sub. And he says it could have been me. On board the sub. I guess he's some glad he didn't go on that sub. Anyway, he says it could have been me. And you know the old saying, there but for the grace of God go I. This world is a dangerous place. And you know, sometimes just a turn you make here or a turn you make there, if you knew ahead of time, you know, you could protect yourself from some of these fluky accidents and things. I call them flukes. You know, like you're driving down the highway and a big semi truck goes to pass you, and all of a sudden his tire blows out and that piece of rubber goes flying. You know, that piece of rubber off a semi truck weighs about 100 pounds. It comes up and hits your windshield. And I mean, every time you get a semi truck passing you on the highway, you know, a lot of people, they worry about flying. They're like, oh, I'm scared to fly. But that's not logical. Because when you think of how many thousands of flights there are every day, tens of thousands of flights, and how you'll go for weeks and never hear about an airplane crashing. You're much more dangerous in a car just driving down the freeway with trucks passing you and stuff. Much, much greater danger. So be careful out there, guys. You don't need to go over the speed limits, any. You know, just drive your speed limits and be very careful. Keep your hands on the wheel and stay off of those cell phones when you're driving, because it distracts you. And you know, when you're going down the freeway at 70 miles an hour, it might be awful tempting when your cell phone rings or whatever to pick it up. But just take your eyes off the road for a second, and the next thing you know, bing, bang, boom, your car's flipping. Keep your keep your senses about you. It's a very dangerous world we live in right now. Now here's a story right here. This tourist was carving his girlfriend's name into Rome's Colosseum wall. He could get 5 years in prison for that. I think that's a little bit harsh myself, you know. Because the old Colosseum's just about, I mean, it's a nice building and everything, but I mean, what's the difference? I mean, people probably through history have scratched their names everywhere on that thing, you know. To give the guy 5 years, I mean, yeah, I think it's a little bit harsh, you know. I mean, probably there should be some sort of punishment. But 5 years? That's a bit harsh, I think. Moving on in other stories here. What was this story I had here? Oh, Prigozhin. Says days after leading a mutiny in Russia, Prigozhin's whereabouts remain a mystery. It says Prigozhin is missing as Putin's Russia drops charges. Well, I heard this morning that his flight was coming in to Belarus. That's what I heard this morning. Now, I don't know if this is true stuff, or it's awful hard to discern in the news nowadays just what really is going on. There's an awful lot of misleading the news out there. I mean, a lot of people will throw the baby out. This is human tendency, you know, is if you're being deceived or lied to in some way whatsoever, or being deceived, they tend to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And they say, oh, I'm not listening to the news anymore. I'm not going to believe any of it. You know, but then on the other hand, yeah, they are manipulating the masses. It very well might be artificial intelligence behind a lot of stuff that's going on now. We just don't know how much that's integrating itself into the system, and just how deceptive it might be if it does come along. And I mean, I could get talking about artificial intelligence right now, but I'm not going to talk about it much. But to say that it's my belief that artificial intelligence, when it first comes along, it is going to kind of hide itself, you know, within the electronic part that's out there, the electronic world that they've built. There's an electronic world that they've built now. Electronic infrastructure. It's called the internet, but it's really an electronic world. It's all run by computers that are all linked together. And tremendous amounts of computing power that it has. So let's move on now and take a look at the markets today. We're going to start with the silver price today. There's a lot of volatility in silver, especially around the COMEX, the time the COMEX, London Bullion Exchange, and the New York NYMEX opens up along in there. But it's up 13 cents at $22.90 today. Gold is doing some real dipsy doodles too. It's down $5.70 right now at 1917. Taking a look at your cryptocurrencies today, and we see Bitcoin is at 30,891, and Ethereum is at 1888. XRP is 48 cents. Those are some of your bigger cryptocurrencies today. Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 99 points on the day at 33,814. Taking a look at crude oil today, it's down 39 cents at 68.98. Now, bonds and rates today, we're seeing rising yields. U.S. 10 years at 3.75, and it's up 3.3 basis points, and the U.S. 30 year is up 1.2 basis points at 3.83 to be exact. The U.S. dollar index today, the dollar, it was falling earlier. It's still falling. The dollar's going down, but not real fast, and it's got a bit of volatility in it. You know, look at this bounce right here. It's quite a steep bounce. Not a lot of volatility, just a little bit. It's creating these just choppy. It's making it look kind of choppy as it's, but overall it's going down today. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode, and have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.